Hello everyone, I am Ushiri Mesh. In this video, I am going to review our answers from assignment 1 using my learning experience. This is the content I am going to talk about in this presentation. First, I will be starting with entity relationship diagram, then create table and insert into statements, and finally I will explain about constraints. Let's start with explaining this ERD. As you can see, there are 4 entities in this diagram and each entity represents a table in the database. Every entity has attributes like this and each attribute represents a column name. Usually the primary key is the underlying attribute in each entity. One side primary key goes to many sides as a foreign key in one-to-many relationships. So the Crowfoot side entity has the foreign key. There are two weak entities in this ERD and you can recognize the weak entity because it has two boxes like this. In this ERD, time log and allocation are the weak entities and they have the borrowed identifiers. Allocation has two borrowed identifiers from worker and task entities and you can recognize it because the relation name is underlined like this. Therefore, the allocation's primary key become work ID and task ID. Timelock borrowed identifier is the primary key of the allocation, so its primary key become work ID, task ID and week number. Now let's see how to create a table in database. This is the syntax we use for creating any table. First, add the create table statement and assign a table name in here. Then add the column names with their data types like this, and each data type can have a length of characters like this. We should mention the primary key and foreign keys at the end of the create table statement like this. The parenthesis and semicolon must be added like this. This is how we add the create table statement for time log. As you can see, week number, task ID, work ID, hours worked are the column names and number is the data type of all columns in the time log table. These are the length of characters in each data type and hours worked values can have one decimal point because of this. There are primary key and foreign key constraints in this table and I will explain it in upcoming slides. Now let's see how to insert rows into a table. This is the syntax we used for adding rows into a table. First, insert into a statement and adding all the column names in the brackets like this. Then add the values for each column like this and you have to do like this for every row. This is how we add rows into time log table. So there are 4 columns in the table and 4 values will be added for a row. The first row values are like this and the second row values are like this and the third row values are like that and so on. All the rows will be added into time log table. Now let's see how to name a constraint. Naming constraint can be very helpful to understand the error message from the Oracle database because it shows the table name which has violated the relevant constraints. This is the syntax for naming a primary key constraint. We add table name here and the primary key column in here. This is how you name a foreign key constraint. You add the table name in here and foreign key column name in here and the reference table name in here. Now let's see how the named constraints work. The last insert into statements gives the error message like this for violating the primary key constraint because we add those primary keys before and you can't add the same primary key twice in a table. As you can see, you can find the error table easily because we named the constraint before. As for the foreign key constraint, the error message shows like this because the first 6 insert into statements doesn't have a correct foreign key. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you everyone for watching the video.